So welcome everyone. Good morning all. First of all, thanks to St. Albert's College, Research Department of Fisheries and Aquaculture, and Motorsci for giving me this opportunity to be a part of this webinar. So it's a great privilege to interact with all of you here. So my topic of the presentation, what I try to do today will be to summarize some of the small concepts on how effectively aquatic millennials can become a part of Blue Revolution in India. And we will see some of the success stories of other aquaculture-oriented countries. Okay. I hope all of you might be knowing the term Blue Revolution. So the term Blue Revolution refers to the remarkable emergence of aquaculture as an important and highly productive agriculture activity. It is a rapid expansion of intensive commercial aquaculture following the footsteps of Green Revolution. So, well, our planet is actually covered by 70% of its surface area by water. So you can imagine how much potential aquaculture can contribute to the future. So aquaculture is the blue driver or blue biotechnology of the future and can make a crucial contribution to the world's well-being and prosperity, including the food security. Among all the animal farming sector, be it from swine, poultry, or from ruminants, aquaculture is the fastest food producing sector. And in fact, the total production exceeds that of other meat industry. As you look at the figure, you can see that nearly 62% of the food fish will be coming from aquaculture by the year 2030. So let's see some of the perspective of Blue Revolution, our aquaculture industry in India. India is poised to become a 5 trillion economy by the year 2025. With a vast coastline and immense natural resources, aquaculture industry can contribute significantly for achieving this goal. So because of these resources, I'm very sure we will have a Blue Revolution happening there in coming future. So as you might have heard from recent news, that India is the largest producer of aquaculture. And if you look at the shrimp production data from the industry, we can see an exponential growth since late 2009, especially with the introduction of white shrimp. So all the figures and facts are looking very good at the current scenario. But let's look at the global context. In a global context, aquaculture has been growing over the past decade. And India is of no exception. And we are growing step by step. So if you look at the industry prediction on the right side of my slides, we could see that the export market is set to grow by nearly a staggering number of 61% by 2030. But as a background in aquaculture industry, if you look at although the data look promising, from my personal point of view, we have a long way to go. So if you look at the production-wise, Kerala is still not in the picture, and which means we have a lot of room for growth. So meanwhile, if you look at, I will give you another example. Meanwhile, if you look at the figures of Chinese frozen shrimp imports during the month June 2020, we could see that India stands in the number 2 position by volume wise. But when you look at the average price, all other Southeast Asian countries are far ahead of us. So better price indicates that the product can be achieved with a good quality and the efficiency of the system. So which means that we have a long way to go. Moreover, compared to the size of the country, if you compare the size of India with other countries, so Southeast Asian countries, we are actually nowhere near to the Southeast Asian region. So if India has to realize its full potential of Blue Revolution, we need to focus actually on our key strengths, including the geographical advantage or location with its vast coastline, inland water resources, be it freshwater, marine system, or even the brackish water. So even the young population, and we do have a lot of young talents, including the aquatic millennials from the people who are listening to these talks. So we also have a large pool of indigenous species as well. So we can increase the domestic consumption along with the export market. So Blue Revolution is under a large scope. But at the moment, I will try to focus my topic towards the aquaculture sector specifically. But later I will touch upon other areas as well during my later part of my talk. So Blue Revolution in aquaculture is upon us, and how we could continue to transform the aquaculture industry will be upon us. Okay, so our key focus on aquaculture should be to improve the efficiency, profitability, and along with lowering the cost of production. So this should be the theme and pillar of future aquaculture industry in India. So this will bring a long way for our Blue Revolution activity in India conducts. Let's see whether we have some options to change to improve our aquaculture sector. In the future, we should focus more towards efficiency and management improvement, which can be achieved via automation and other technologies. So we are actually currently living in a technology era, and we should utilize this aspect for aquaculture sector, which will have a huge impact in the sector itself. So the key message from this slide is to focus on converting the data into knowledge. So let's see some of the examples from some of the regions around Southeast Asia and elsewhere around the world. These are some of the examples, how they are effectively using the technology. This is one of the digital technology which they are using in Thailand for large, extensive or intensive farm practices. So just with one person, they are able to manage huge farms just with the technology. So this is from Singapore. They are even using automated system, even robotics to manage the hatcheries, even the grow out system using the robotics, they are feeding the animals. So while in Japan, if you look carefully, they are using the robots as well as other thermal imaging for checking the quality of the fish or the water quality, even the health parameters, weight, length, all these parameters are taken using the technology. So the next approach we need to think is about our quality of education. And we need to train or we need to prepare skilled individuals for developing the aquaculture, including the research. So we should put more focus on research related to environmental sustainability and also towards applied science rather than just basic science as we are doing currently. This will have a big boost to the industry. And we should try to focus more onto aquaculture efficiency and productivity in terms of research, not just basic science. So another factor regarding the culture practices, we should be more proactive and look at good options which can bring big gain to the farmers and also revenue to the country. For instance, we could think of other production activities, for instance, like live feeds to prepare in a commercial way. We always think aquaculture activity to just confined only to fish or shrimps. So this is another sector maybe we could focus on, like livestock and live feed industry in a commercial way. When we look at the global scenario, even we could utilize our resources to satisfy the demand in the market. For example, these eels and abalones, which has a huge demand in Japan and other parts of Southeast Asia or Pacific coast. Hardly we put our attention on these kinds of aquaculture activity. So if we are putting our focus on these kind of activities or aquaculture activities in the future, this will get a lot of revenue for the country. So similarly, we should try. This is from Philippines. They are utilizing their islands for preparing or culturing algae or seaweeds. Similarly, we should try to do out-of-the-box thinking. Even this is a real picture from Vietnam. They are doing frog and crocodile as a farming unit, not just fish. they focus on other kinds of aquaculture species. Most important thing in India context is to modernize our culture practices and utilize properly our resources. We have a lot of unpolluted islands where we could do high-valued species of aquaculture. For instance, like in Andaman or Lakshadweep, they have a lot of islands there, which crystal clear water, where ideal location for bringing high-valued species or culture high-valued species, maybe like yellowfin tuna and other kinds of deep-sea fishes, which has huge market in the global scenario. So due to the limited land resources, many regions are moving towards effective utilization of available resources by intensification, and more indoor systems are evolving. This is one of the largest indoor farms in Thailand for shrimp farming. So this is the way forward, or this is the future aquaculture technology. It will be evolving like this. So which means smaller the area, large production, intensification with less environmental damage. This should be the theme. Again, the same concept in Singapore. If you look, they have a very limited land resources. They are considering the problems there and thinking of other out-of-the-box solution, and they're doing vertical farming practices in Singapore. Again, we should use wisely our renewable resources, including sunlight, whether it be from other water resources or even wind power. And this is from China, and it is one of the largest farms operated there with installed sunlight or solar panel system. Another one from Netherlands, they are utilizing this for aquaculture activities. So another factor we need to think about is innovation. A lot of changes are happening in climate conditions, especially from Kerala situation now, and quickly the world is transforming. And we need to be prepared for such scenario. So this is a vertical farming concept, which is executed in European regions actually. Another one is upgradation of the quality or hygienic practices. This is also very, very important for aquaculture industry. We have a great opportunity, especially as an aquatic millennials. We can try to improve the quality in fish processing, logistics, handling, and many more activities related to this. So I will give you some examples from some other part of the world. So please look at some of the wet or open market from some other regions. This is from China. More or less, they are trying to sell the products in a live format, which fetches much better pricing and better hygiene as well as the quality. So look at Japan. So this is quite open market or wet market. The quality hygiene is much better. So with a slight effort, we could have a dramatic change in the outlook of aquaculture and fishery sector. We put focus on this area. So this is actually a wet market from Europe. So another aspect which I want to emphasize is to think out of the box idea. When we think of aquaculture, we think only doing farming activities, which is actually a pity. But there are a number of untouched resources which we can utilize in a different way. Let's take a small example of tilapia. As I know, it is one of the familiar fishes in India as well as in Kerala. So I took this as an example to give you the concept which I wanted to explain. Actually, tilapia have a huge demand in the global market, especially with the value addition of byproducts. So the other part of the world is looking to improve the value-added products from tilapia. So you can see they are fetching much more money or grabbing a lot of opportunities from here. Creating job, value addition, all these are very, very important. So anyone can guess what is this actually? Any idea?
Fish wafer.
This is actually the scales of tilapia. Okay, so other part of the world is thinking to utilize, waste of fish product or any kinds of byproduct or waste product as a wealth category. So their concept is to think like waste to wealth. So I will show you with an example. This is a company from Indonesia, Jakarta. They are using the fish skin, especially tilapia skin, for making leather. So not only leather, you can see the quality of leather. So they are using for so many value addition or consumable goods or usable products. You can see here, shoes, wallets, bags, so many products we can prepare. So you have to think out of the box. Even the wallets, you can see the belts, watches, so many items are there. This is only few of them because I have limited time, so I just put only few of the slides here. And Regal Springs is one of the largest producer of tilapia in Indonesia. Not only aquaculture can very well contribute to the medical industry also. So this has a large scope. Aquaculture is a large scope, and we can create a lot of job opportunity. So large number of products are developed for many kinds of ailments and medical application, whether it be for the therapeutics, drug delivery, wound healing, or tissue engineering as well. There are some research in NASA as well in US. They are using tilapia as a role species or model species for doing the research for science there in NASA. So you can think about aquaculture, not just farming practice, it's way beyond that. So I will give you one more example from the medical application or with a beauty application. This is a product from Korea. They are using just the fish scale of tilapia to produce collagen peptides. This is one collagen peptide. There are many marine peptides, and even from the skin, they have different kinds of amino acid preparation. So they are trying to think in a different way of approach to reach the global market, which is lacking with us. If we are tapping in this kind of resources, we can go way ahead. So I will give you one more example in medical application, how you can think about. This is one of the trial they have done in Brazil, where they have used tilapia skin as an alternative to commercial silver-based fiber technology for treating second-born fire accidents. So you can see tilapia skin was doing much better than the artificial systems. So they are making it as in a commercial way. So you can see the opportunities there. So as I mentioned before, blue economy or blue revolution is not just confined to aquaculture related sector. It is wide, very wide, large and enormous. You can look at the scope of blue revolution and opportunities available, whether it be, we should try to think ocean or water resources as a source for many kinds of job activities or opportunities, including food sector, energy, transportation, leisure, for instance, like tourism industry, aquaculture tourism. All this will be bringing under this umbrella. So it is not just confined to aquaculture. So if we are looking in a broader aspect, it has huge opportunity and it is directly or indirectly interrelated. So the scope is huge. So please always remember, any progress or aquaculture activity should not be under the cost of environment, because sustainability is a key factor. For your information, actually in Europe or elsewhere around the world, especially in America, all these places, they are always thinking about the sustainability as a key factor. Within a couple of years, just 5 to 10 years time, everyone will be talking about sustainability, and we need to be prepared for this. Sustainability is a key factor in the future. So I will give you some examples on how aquaculture practice was transitioned in other part of the regions or other part of the globe. Or let's see what we can learn from such kind of economy by looking at their way of approach or even the geographical location. So I hope in Kerala, you might have seen such kind of practices, right? Traditional extensive practices with Pokali rice culture and filtration system for shrimp farming. So well, from the lesson from Thailand, if you look carefully, Thailand is surrounded by two sides with ocean, especially on the southern side of Thailand. You can see one left-hand side is with Andaman Sea and other side is with the Gulf of Thailand. So most of the marine-related activities in Thailand is happening in the southern part of the province. If you compare directly with the Kerala, in terms of just in a geographical location-wise, you can see that more or less Thailand and Kerala can be, in a contextual way, it looks more or less similar. And even the conditions, environmental and other kinds of activities are more or less similar as that of Kerala. So even in Thailand or other parts of Southeast Asian countries, more or less all people are relying upon traditional farming or agriculture as their livelihood, similar as that in Kerala. This is just 30 years back in Thailand. They were also doing similar culture practice of shrimp as that we are seeing now in Kerala. But later, they realized the potential of aquaculture and shrimp farming. They have modified their aquaculture practices, and now you can see there, they have modified the systems, and they have converted more or less almost all land areas, or wherever they can do the aquaculture, they have transitioned into shrimp farming. So you can see large stretch of lands they have converted into aquaculture units for shrimp farming. And now they have moved on to the next phase where it is intensive shrimp farming. They utilize very small area for production of large scale of shrimp numbers or productivity. So even in locations where there is no sea or seawater, they can do amazing aquaculture. So you can see large stretch of lands they are modifying or they are providing shrimp farming. And even without destruction of environment, and they are putting more focus on these activities. So more or less in our part of the world, aquaculture is creating a lot of job opportunities than we are seeing in our regions. So now this is super intensive shrimp farming practices in Thailand, where more or less everything is closed indoor systems. These are some of the models with a small area but high intensity production, with offices, vertical systems, and even the feed and the hatchery all are combined together in a small area, including they are protecting the nature. So following the footsteps, following the success story of Thailand, Indonesia has followed the footsteps, and you can see Indonesia has converted most of their land areas, oceans, large scale of their coastal regions, and even the islands, they have converted into large scale shrimp farming. So you can see, it is a huge industry there. So even in the coastal belt, they have created intensive farming practices. And this is a real picture from Indonesia. Actually, Vietnam was much more faster in adapting to aquaculture technology. You can see there, looking at the success story from Indonesia and Thailand, they have followed intensive shrimp farming activities. This is one of the largest indoor shrimp farming activity in Vietnam. So I will give another example from Vietnam, how we can learn or how we can adapt looking at Vietnam as a role model. So Vietnam look at Norway as they look at Norway for getting clues for increasing the aquaculture activities in their country. So if you look at the geographical way, they are more or less having similar kind of geographical topography. So even when you compare with Kerala also, you can see the structure is more or less similar to Vietnam, Norway, in a colloquial way, not exactly, but more or less they are also sharing similar kind of topography. But both these regions, Vietnam and Norway, they have become one of the largest, their industry or the GDP is depending mainly on aquaculture activity. So Norway has become, they have positioned themselves as the leading producer and exporter of salmon industry. So even in the extreme condition, they have started doing culture of salmon, and using available resources, they have started the aquaculture activities and made it successful. So Vietnam took the clue and started utilizing the fungaceous as the culture species, because this is available in the Mekong Delta. And they have marketed Basa fish to the world as the cheap and alternative source of marine fish fillets, including the salmon. So they took the clue from Norway, but they tried to adapt according to their conditions, climatic conditions, their own indigenous species, and provide it to the world with another species. So one of the key factors, in my personal opinion, which is necessary to utilize completely the blue revolution aspect in India, is to change the mindset of our people. In other parts of the world, aquaculture is a highly reputed profession. Similar, and there is no limitation in terms of age or even gender. More or less, I could see that more or less in this industry, more ladies or female populations are doing, or they are doing it as a profession. Even aquaculture entrepreneurship. This is a young lady who is having her own fish farm or fish hatchery in Europe. And they took it as a profession. She's very young and very, very successful entrepreneur in aquaculture. So it doesn't matter with the age or gender, it's about the attitude, how you want to do it as a profession. So from my perspective, the key to any career or career growth is to know your true potential, what you are, what you can do. So this is the main success story or key takeaway message for any success in aquaculture. So always remember, aquaculture is truly an art and science. If we can find a balance, then any activities in aquaculture will be successful. So if we need to find the real correct balance, then it's really an interesting part of doing work. So thank you so much for listening to me, and please always remember to wash your hands and wear the mask. Okay, stop spreading the virus, coronavirus, be safe, and always be successful. Thank you so much.